It was such a magical weekend because I'd never been an author before, you know, and even though no one had read my book or no one knew anything about it, everyone was still pretty nice to me because we were in the South. But when I first read that poem, I started thinking about that ending there. You know, the light shining out through the holes that we've carved into this pumpkin, the holes that we've carved into ourselves. And I got really obsessed with this idea because, and this is the core of what I want to talk about tonight, which is, I think, related to the sort of core of Paper Towns, but not necessarily to the plot. But we are all stuck inside of these skin-encased enclosures, and like from the perspective of my skin-encased enclosure, like I can recognize that you look approximately like I do, and that you seem to have a similar anatomy, and that when you speak to me, you use language that is similar to the language that I would use, but I can never quite imagine what it's like to be you, or indeed anyone else, and I can never quite be all the way inside of someone else. James Joyce once said that the thing is to see ourselves as others see us. I can never see myself as others see me. Like, when I was in middle school, this is very, very fantastic. When I was in middle school, I carpooled with Kelsey Durkin and Julie Baskin, who were extremely popular. And I was just a gigantic bottom of the social pyramid nerd. And it's like an inverted pyramid. And I was there at the point with all of the weight coming down on me. All of Lake Highland Preparatory School, everyone pounding down on me. And I was just desperate for there to be one person below me. I mean, but I never quite got there. But Julie Baskin and Kelsey Durkin were outrageously popular, and always, throughout middle school, I had this fantasy that I would take a mini recorder, and I would stuff it in the seat of the car as we carpooled, and I would hit record, and then I got dropped off first because I lived closest to school. I would then recover it the next day, and I would be able to hear what they really thought about me, what they really said about me. And of course, like, the truth of the matter is that 999 times out of 1,000, they wouldn't have said anything about me. The moment I got out of the car, I would have been completely forgotten, and they would have gone on talking about the Hannah Montana of the day, and you know, what they liked and what they hated, and who they liked and who they hated, and I would never have even factored into that equation. But because I was stuck inside this skin-encased enclosure, and I can only be myself, there was this inevitable feeling that, like, they must be talking about me, they must think something about me, and I really wanted to know what it was, and I also really wanted them to be able to see me as I see myself. Another way I kind of think about this is that I would never say that I'm a good person, or that I'm a bad person, right? Like, I would never say that it's as simple as me being, like, awesome, like I am, like I only do great stuff every day. I wake up in the morning and I just, like, make people's lives better, and then I go to sleep. And the only reason I sleep is so that I can get like 2 or 3 hours of rest so I can get back to my job, which is full-time making people's lives more awesome. I would love to be able to think that about myself, but I can't think that about myself, and I would wager to say that most of us can't. But I also don't think that I'm evil. You know, when I do something that's a terrible thing, I generally have a justification for it. You know, like, let's say that someone writes me an email and I don't write them back, which has happened a lot, and I have a justification for it, which is that I would like to be able to write them back, but I have to do X, Y, and Z, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way things are right now. It's still bad, though, you know? And from their perspective, it's probably really bad. So this is the sort of tension of being inside of yourself, is that you can never say that you're good or that you're bad or that you're lame or that you're not lame. I mean, another way of putting this is that everybody secretly, occasionally looks in the mirror and says, I have looked worse than this. You may not think you look good, but you sometimes think that you've looked worse. And you have a complicated relationship with the way that you look, and the way that you act, and the way that you talk, and the way that you interact with people around you. Whereas it's much easier to say of someone else, that guy's a loser. I hate him. I don't like him at all. He sucks. I'm sure. Of course he doesn't suck. I mean, maybe he sucks a little bit, but like he doesn't just suck, you know? So this girl's not just awesome, this guy's not just lame, there's always something more to it than that. And our habit of oversimplifying the other, which we've talked about in the world of nerd fighting, we've talked about in terms of the way we think about poverty in the developing world, the way we think, specifically the way we think about Bangladesh. You know, our habit of sort of distilling other people's human experience into somehow less than ours, it's inevitable because, look, if we were feeling everyone's pain and joy and excitement all the time, if we were like a total transparent feeling machine, we would blow up. So it's not that it's bad, it's just that it does limit us. And there's, you know, the power of the human imagination is something that writers are really in the business of extolling. Because if it didn't exist, we would be out of a job. And so we go on and on about how awesome it is. And it is awesome, but it's also limited. You know, I can never know exactly what it's like to be you. And that's why we had two covers for the book, is because I want to get at that idea that both of these representations of this young woman are misimaginings of her. They're oversimplifications of her. They're unfair portrayals of her that various people have during the book. But Paper Dolls is really a book in which everyone is misimagined by everyone else. In that sense, it's sort of Shakespearean, and only in that sense, because it sounds way worse than Shakespeare does. I'm going to read a little bit, if that's all right. And it is. And it's like, what are you going to do? Like, run up and rush the stage and tackle me?